All right, thank you both so much for answering the questions. It is time now for your closing statements, and we begin with Mr. Warner per the coin toss earlier.
You know, tonight we've heard, once again, a lot of attacks, negative attacks from my opponent. If you spend your life as a D.C. lobbyist and partisan political operative, that's what happens. The squeeze was what happened to the employees at Enron. The squeeze was what happened when we had the policies he advocated for, which were 2 wars on a credit card, a tax cut we couldn't pay for, entitlement programs that weren't paid for, an economy that was driven into the ditch. Do we need to do more to get our economy going? Absolutely. But it's going to take people who are still optimistic about possibilities in America. I've been blessed to live the American dream. I've failed at my first 2 businesses, but didn't stop me from picking up and trying again and being successful. I believe that the best days of our country are in front of us. But at the end of the day, it is going to require people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and work together and get things done. That's what I did as governor. That's what I've been doing as senator. And that's what I'll continue to do if you hire me. You see, I believe in America that we've got to get back to the notion that when you see a problem, you roll up your sleeves and fix it and move on to the next problem. You may not get it 100% right at first, but you don't keep punching and kicking the can. The only way that's going to happen in America, and as somebody who's worked in the Senate, I can tell you, is if we are willing to occasionally put aside Republican and Democrat and put our country first. That's what I did respectfully as governor when we turned a deficit into a surplus. That's why I work on every bill in a bipartisan fashion in the United States Senate. And when it comes, again, to finances, there is a major difference between us. I took a deficit, turned it into a surplus. When Ed was working with the administration he supported so much, he took a surplus and turned it into a deficit. Going forward, the only way our country can get back to that kind of prosperity that we all believe in is if we have people with a proven record of getting things done and working together. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Your closing statement, Mr. Gillespie.
Thank you for this chance to share my common sense solutions to the problems we face as a nation. I believe they would get bipartisan support in the United States Senate, and that's why I've put forward my 5-point plan for economic growth, so that if I'm honored to stand before you again as our senator, people can hold me accountable for getting these things done. In the same way, I'm asking Virginians to hold Mark Warner accountable for saying he'd be an independent voice in a bipartisan vote on the floor of the Senate, but siding with President Obama 97% of the time and consistently voting against bipartisan amendments, as I pointed to time after time here this evening. I also want to hold him accountable, and voters should hold him accountable for saying that he would balance the budget. Throw us all out, he said at one point, if we don't get this budget balanced, and adding $7 trillion to our debt. For saying he'd be a pro-business senator, but voting for job-killing policy after job-killing policy, including nearly $1 trillion in tax increases. And of course, for saying that he would never vote for a health care reform bill that would mean losing our insurance if we wanted to keep it, and then working to pass the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. He's not the senator he said he would be, not the senator so many Virginians hoped he would be. That's why so many of his supporters are supporting me this election cycle, so many of his voters, and over 75 of his donors are supporting my campaign. And today, proud to say, the Fraternal Order of Police, which endorsed him last election, is endorsing me this year. Most Americans no longer believe we're a country where the next generation can do better than the generation that came before us. That does not have to be our past. It must be our future, and it can be with the right policies. But we cannot afford 6 more years of the last 6 years. We need to change course, and we cannot send Senator Warner back to Washington and expect to see anything different occur as a result of that. We need a new and better direction. And I have put forward policies that will ease the squeeze on hardworking Virginians and will fight for them every day as our senator. I hope you will give me that chance, and I ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. Thank you, Mr. Warner. We appreciate your vigorous participation in this debate tonight. We also want to thank the audience for taking part. And now I'd also like to extend a special thanks to our panel, Kristen Goss from the League of Women Voters, Craig Carper, political reporter for WCVE Radio, Bob Lancato from the AARP, and of course Cheryl Miller from WTBR CBS 6. Thank you all for taking part in this. This program has been brought to you in part by AARP Virginia, the League of Women Voters of Virginia, WTBR CBS 6, and WCVE PBS. It's a community idea station. Thanks again to the candidates for appearing together on the stage tonight. I'd like to thank you, the voters of Virginia, and our live audience, of course, for watching. And don't forget, Election Day is only 22 days away. On behalf of everyone who brought this debate to you, I'm Bill Fitzgerald. Good night.